We're joined today at Active ETFs InFocus by Ken McCord, who is the president of Horizons AlphaPro. AlphaPro is the only company in Canada to have actively managed ETFs. Ken, welcome to the interview. And tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into the active ETF space.
Well, I've been in the asset management industry for 18 years now. And in the last 18 years, I've seen some interesting change in our industry. I haven't seen any really groundbreaking change or game-changing inputs to the industry until this came along, until active ETFs came along. I truly believe active ETFs are a game changer. I think they will change the way investors invest, and I think they'll change the way advisors advise. So it became apparent to me that because that was going to be the next great evolution in our industry, I really needed to get on board early. So the opportunity came up in September of 2009, just 6 months ago. And we've seen a lot of change just in the last 6 months since I've been on board.
That's great. So where do you see the active ETF space going over the next, say, 5 years?
Well, I think the active space in ETFs will go exactly the same way that the passive ETF or the traditional ETF has gone. For investors who choose to invest passively, they've always had a couple choices. They could do a passive mutual fund or a passive ETF. Overwhelmingly, they've chosen the ETF route if they're a passive investor because it's simply a better delivery mechanism. It's cheaper, it's more convenient, it's more flexible. And I believe the same decision will be made by those who choose active management over passive. If you want active management, up till now, you've only been able to go mutual fund. Now we can offer active in an ETF, and because I believe the ETF is a better delivery mechanism, it's cheaper, it's more convenient, and it's more flexible, I think investors will overwhelmingly choose it for its active management exposure. So I think the growth will be phenomenal.
That's interesting. So have you been satisfied so far with the level of growth and interest you've seen with the AlphaPro ETFs within the Canadian market?
Well, I don't think an entrepreneurial spirit is ever satisfied with its growth. With the level of interest, absolutely. I know we're starting something very new, very different, and I think the growth is going to take a while to establish. But the level of interest has certainly been, I would say, overwhelming and overwhelmingly positive. The advisors and the investors who understand what we're doing truly believe that it is a better way to invest. It's simply a better package to wrap around an active manager.
So with regards to ETFs, why do you think ETFs are a better structure for investors as compared to mutual funds?
Well, I always use a metaphor when I answer this question, and I talk about the last time I was in a record store, and I picked up a Led Zeppelin album, and it was $17.99, and I thought, I don't want to spend this much money on this album, and then I've got limited use to it. I can only play it in my car or play it in my radio at home. So I went home and I downloaded the same content on iTunes for $9.99, and now I've got it on my computer, I've got it on my iPod, I can listen to it on the treadmill, on the airplane, whatever. And so I compare iTunes and the compact disc similar to an ETF and a mutual fund. You're getting the same kind of content. Right? What I want when I went to the record store was Led Zeppelin and Robert Page and Jimmy Plant and Stairway to Heaven, right? That's what I wanted. And once you make the decision on the content, you should really then try to find the most convenient, flexible, and economical delivery mechanism or package. And the compact disc isn't it. It's iTunes. And I'm now trying to say to the world, the mutual fund isn't it. If you want, if you've chosen to go with an active content and find your own portfolio management rock stars, then the ETF is a better mechanism. It's a better delivery vehicle because it is less expensive, it's more convenient, and it's more flexible.
That's interesting. Now, how long do you think you can maintain your monopoly on the Canadian active ETF space? Who do you think is going to be your likely competitor?
I don't think it will last long. And I welcome more competitors because it will simply legitimize what we're doing. I think some of the Canadian competitors on the passive side have chosen not to adopt or embrace active ETFs. I don't know why. I think they're really missing out on something. So I believe our competition will come from south of the border. We've already seen a number of big name managers embrace active ETFs. We've seen PIMCO, we've seen Putnam, T. Rowe Price, Legg Mason. They've all announced their intention, or if not already started, actively managed ETFs. So I think it's only a matter of time before one of the big U.S. players comes up here. So in the meantime, we really need to build a foothold. We need to be the brand of choice. I need to build out a full lineup of product, and I need to establish track records that are the longest in the industry. And that's exactly why we're so busy right now bringing products to market.
That's interesting. So now, majority of AlphaPro's current active ETFs have a performance fee attached to them, a hedge fund style performance fee. How is AlphaPro looking to compete with mutual funds when most such ETFs only have a management fee that they charge?
Well, most ETFs have just a management fee because they're passive in nature. The
Correct.
traditional ETF is passive, so you would never put a performance fee on a passive ETF. In terms of the mutual fund space, however, first of all, you can put a performance fee on a mutual fund, and there seems to be a movement towards performance fees on mutual funds with lower management fees. We have received overwhelming validation just in our thesis that investors would much rather pay a lower management fee and pay up for performance if they get it. If they don't get it, don't pay for it.
Okay.
And we truly believe that we should be paid for our success and not paid if there isn't any success. So we've chosen to keep much lower management fees and add a performance fee only where we actually deliver performance or alpha against the benchmark.
Now, again, talking about the mutual fund space, 85 to 90% of mutual funds are currently actively managed. How do you see active ETFs penetrating into RRSP and 401k retirement portfolios, which are currently dominated by these mutual funds?
Well, again, what we're trying to do here is groundbreaking change. And I think anytime you try to introduce dramatic change in anything, whether it's social or political or financial, it takes time. And it really needs to start at the grassroots often. And so one thing we have to do is get the investor on the street aware of what we're doing, that they can get access to great managers for low fees, and get them to start asking for that directly with their investment dealer if they're direct, or to get them to ask for through their investment advisor. And that's going to help deliver a demand and growth in active ETF space. But the other thing is just to educate our advisor base. We have a great network of investment advisors across Canada. They know us very well from the BetaPro business. And to introduce this concept to them is the next logical conclusion. So we need to educate them and teach them how to use active ETFs in their book of business where they might otherwise use a mutual fund.
Finally, what are the strategies that AlphaPro is looking to bring to investors in the future through active ETFs?
Well, my goal really is to build a family of ETFs that would rival that of any mutual fund company you'd see in Canada today. And that means all the traditional mandates, from equity to fixed income to balanced, domestic, global, and anything you could perhaps think of. Well, the other thing I want to do for investors is bring some strategies that are less correlated to the equity market than we might be used to. And I still think Canadians probably have a little too much exposure to equities in their investment portfolios, and we need to bring some strategies to the market that are less correlated with the equity market.
Sure. That's interesting. Ken, thanks a lot for joining us, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you, Shashir. My pleasure.
Thanks.